Some people say they would have got dog walked by UCLA. Well, I think she's saying I'd rather be dog walked by UCLA. I am tired of seeing the same team every single year. If I'm going to get dog walked by UCLA and their sharpshooters and they W prime team, I'm going to do that. I'd rather do that. Can we get a change of scenery?
Rings so big, you can't even see my face. Ballin' on the court, make them chase. Buzzer beater, shot clock, first place. Got them running plays like they running in a race. I just wanna ball. I just wanna ball.
Hello and welcome to the Women's Cut. I'm Jay. That's C-Way. How you doing today?
Hey Jay. Hello everyone. I'm doing good.
You feeling, fresh? All that running you've been doing?
Yes, I have been training for the Chicago Half Marathon in June. If you guys want to come out and support. And so yeah, no, my body is beat up. My body is for sure beat up. But
so your body is beat up. June is gonna be hot. So I guess
we run early though. I think the half marathon kicks off at like 7. I gotta check 7 usually. So yeah, but no, by the time you keep going, it does get hot. But we start to train, as the weather changes, you start to train more in the heat. So it doesn't bother you, because I just did a run when it was 70, it was 70 last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I could only do a mile because I was burning up. So you got to get your body used to the heat.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm just, watching reruns of like Veronica Mars and shit, other than watching the tournament all day for 3 days straight.
That's a full-time job. I feel like keeping up with the tournament. I'm glad we have 2 days.
Oh my gosh, the storylines. But we'll get into it. However, I want to talk about the CBA.
Yes.
All right. So the CBA has been negotiated. It has been signed. How are we feeling about it, C?
First of all, I'm feeling great. I want to start this off with the thing that people have been wanting to know. Did the players get the gross revenue, right? Did they get the gross revenue system that they were fighting for? And the answer is yes, the hell they did. I feel like that should be the headline right everywhere, and it hasn't been. So we're gonna make it the headline here. The players fought, held out for the gross revenue system, and they did get the 20% gross revenue system, which I think is huge. This is the first time that what they're actually putting into the game, what they're putting into the league, is meaningfully tied to the revenue. And I think that really matters. So the players got the 20% gross revenue. I think that's huge. The standard max contract increased from $214K to $1.19 million. Okay, that's huge. One little thing. Now the players have to report a little earlier, April 15th. You have to give something. So that's only a couple of days after the end of the March Madness tournament. So that is going to be tough for the rookies. Another interesting thing that I think they had to move on is that this season is now being extended to November 21st. I don't think that's going to go into effect this season, but it will be interesting to see the longer seasons and how it works with WNBA teams that share arenas with the NBA. I think that's interesting. And yeah, then there's the other part is the 2 developmental player spots. I know there's been a little bit of confusion with that, but I think they're for players from the 0 to 3 mark. And then if you're from 4 to 5, you have to play limited amount of games, somewhat like the 2-way player spots in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So they basically gave us our own version of 2-way players. But if you are in that 0 to 3 year mark, then, you have a little bit more wiggle room as to what you can play. And then the other part, now lottery picks, the money is going with the pick. Okay, so if you're a number 1 pick, your base salary is $500. So you're getting paid for being a number 1 pick, and more to come on this. These lottery picks will come with protections. And so I don't know the degree of the protections just yet, but it's looking like you can't just be drafted and then waived, right? And cut.
Yeah.
These lottery picks are going to have some protections. And I think that is goated that they got that in there. Yeah. And so there's there's maternity, so much. I love it all.
I'm a fan of the lottery pick protections because we saw so many good players get cut because some teams are extremely stacked. Right? You have the Lynx, the Aces, who cut very, very good players.
Right.
So those developmental spots are going to be extremely important, especially protecting those lottery picks. They might not be ready, but we have seen the injuries have increased. So you have teams that, like when Fee went down,
right? They could have used those extra 2 people.
They didn't have any. They didn't have anybody to fill that spot, and that was a very big loss. Now, can you fill Fee's shoes? No, but you could at least have a body there that can do some of the things that Fee can do. So I think that this is going to make for a much more competitive league. The ladies are happy. They're excited. They looked out for older players, retired players. Now, did they get as much as I think that they should have gotten? No, but they got something.
Right.
So that was a very well negotiated situation, and I'm excited that the women, like I said before, doing things that other folks can't do, avoided a work stoppage, and got a major CBA win.
Yeah. And shout out to shout out to the Black women too that led this charge. They worked tirelessly. Alicia Clark, NECA, right? Fee, Brianna Turner, right? Will. I mean, the list just goes on and on. The executive director of the WNBPA, Terry Carmichael Jackson. So it's just the hours upon hours upon hours that was donated to this cause. And and if I left off somebody, I apologize. But yeah, I just feel like they did so much to make a difference. Like you said, not only for the players now, but the players to come and players that will soon retire. The moms, right? The moms now, there's more stuff for the moms. The additional things that the teams have to carry. You're no longer allowed to be a poverty franchise. You need to have the doctors on staff, the athletic trainers on staff. Like, you need to have it all. And so I love that.
I love that too, because maybe that means the Sky will sell their team to Melody Hobson, like I really want them to. But that's another conversation for another time.
Well, I will, it is, but I will say it's going to be really interesting for teams with under this new CBA will not be allowed to kind of skirt the bottom, but the WNBA did approve this unanimously as well. And so it seems like everybody understands what is going to be required of them.
Yeah. And it's a really good time for these expansion franchises to be coming into the fold, especially with the longer year. I'm very excited about how games are going to stack up because it was very uneven. Like, even in conference, there was no consistency as to how many times you were, like a set amount of times that you're generally going to see a team. Since there was only 8 teams, it wasn't a lot to kind of go around. So I'm very excited about how the year is going to stack up as far as who you're seeing, how often you're seeing. Are you going to be able to build a rivalry, true rivalries? Because basketball is built on rivalry. So I'm extremely interested to see how all of that kind of shakes out.
Yes.
All right. Now, what has been all consuming, has been the women's tournament for NCAA. There have been some really good games and there have been some absolute stinkers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You kind of have to do all them people like that Um, uh, LSU just putting up 100-point game after 100-point game. Don's kids just BTA, the UCLA BTA. What you expect your number ones, your number 2 seeds to do, your number 3 seeds to do, except for Iowa.
Yeah.
How are you finding the tournament, girl?
I think the tournament is really good. I mean, still in the women's tournament, we're not having as many upsets as, we typically have. And so, that we would like to have. I know the women's tournament, we've been hoping that with the parity, that there will be more upsets. We haven't seen a lot. We have seen Virginia come through with the big upset of the tournament.
And I'm sorry, Virginia, I was unfamiliar with your game. I would like to wholeheartedly apologize. I didn't have y'all coming out of the first 4. That's on me. I knew Georgia was going to lose to whoever it was, but
you did say that.
I did not know it was going to be
their way in, and they have played. They have showed out, right? And so we have that. Iowa losing. I've seen really good games from them. I've seen really bad games from them. And so I'm not going to say I'm just completely surprised. Of course, in the tournament, you want a few more upsets. But I really enjoyed. Hannah has played her butt off, really great game. That Notre Dame Iowa game was phenomenal.
Yo!
We've had some good games.
Yo, I'm like, this girl she almost fucked around and had a triple-double. Off of steals. Baby girl had 8 steals, 12 boards, like 27 points. She went crazy. I was legitimately live texting you the game like, this girl is nuts right now. She got something to prove.
I think the tournament starts now, though. The tournament really starts with this Sweet 16. I'm definitely expecting not many upsets, but some. I think TCU may struggle. I don't have a lot of confidence.
Virginia's defense was the difference in all of these. Like, if you look at the scores were close, but it was because Virginia was relentless on defense. They out rebounded, they outworked. Now Iowa is still built outside in. That's still Caitlin's. There's still remnants of Caitlin. But they don't have nobody hitting threes like Caitlin, and their forwards aren't scoring forwards. So as you move forward, because TCU can score from everywhere. So this one is definitely going to be a challenge, but I think it's going to be such a good game. And I think that those girls are playing with a chip on their shoulder because nobody thought that they would be here. And I love those types of Sweet 16s. And I'm going to take a little break here and do a little quick leading lady situation because I was extremely unfamiliar with the game of Amaka Agugua, I think that's how you say it, Hamilton, who is the head coach from Virginia. Now, she had a pretty prolific run at Missouri State. Her overall was 74-15, which is great. She went to NCAA twice. She went to NCAA twice. She went to the Sweet 16. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew that Missouri State was making noise, but I don't think I put 2 and 2 together that this was the same coach. And over at Virginia, she's taken a team that was dead last. They were not performing well. I think they won 5 games the year before she came in. Really big fan of her right now. I know. Were you familiar with her before the tournament?
I wasn't. I wish I was. I mean, because her poise, her ability really to speak life into her team and give them the confidence to continue to make this run. I wasn't. I did know that I think it's Samaya when she went over there that, there was a reason for that, to leave LSU and to head over there. And so now me seeing the coach and the program that she's building up over there, I see why, because it seems like they're really cooking with something. And Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good system, and it feels like a all around player system. Like she wants players that are gonna even though no, Hannah's not on that team, but Hannah is giving it to you on both ends. Samaya does the same thing. She's not going to take time off on defense. And I think that's how you build a winning program. And I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Virginia. Like I'm never going to count them down again. I know that.
Right.
No, it won't be me. As the tournament moves forward, we're in the Sweet 16 now.
Yeah.
Do you see any other major upsets in what we have? Because I don't see. I'm looking at it. I don't see Duke losing to LSU. Duke's not going to be able to keep up. I don't see Texas falling to Kentucky.
You mean
or
LSU
Michigan.
losing to Duke? You mean LSU losing to Duke?
Yeah, I don't see. I'm saying I don't see LSU losing to Duke. I'm sorry, you're right. I don't see LSU losing to Duke. Duke is not going to be able to put up enough points. I think I undercounted LSU. I'm liking your bracket a little bit more now because I just did not think that they were going to be able. Them girls, once one of them lose concentration, is done. But they are so locked in.
And Michaela has heard what we've asked of her. Okay, and Michaela has clocked in, and I don't think she's clocking out. No, the only kind of upsets I can see. Virginia's kind of on a tear. I can see them giving TCU some trouble. And I can also, and I can see. I think the Notre Dame game could be tough. That would be an interesting matchup. And then later on, I definitely see LSU upsetting UCLA. That's what I have in my bracket. And I just think the way LSU is moving, they're going all the way. I think they're going all the way. And so that's kind of what I say. I don't think it's going to be major, but I'm not counting Virginia out anymore. I think they done took down some big fish, and who's to stop them now? who's to stop them now? I'm not sure. You know, it all depends on how the shooting, I believe, the shooting of TCU is going to make the big difference. Yeah. If TCU starts shooting lights out, then I think it'll be some trouble for Virginia. But if Virginia keeps them close.
Yeah, I agree with that. Until they get to South Carolina, because I don't know if South Carolina's big. Like they're bigger, stronger, faster. That'll be a good test for them. That kind of I don't know. This kind of brings up the kind of the last thing that we wanted to talk about today, which is seeding. Because as we're having this conversation of Virginia just running through everybody, we have Syracuse's head coach being upset that they constantly have the same bracket every year. They're a second game out every year because they're going up against extremely skilled teams like UConn. Right. Now, I guess that's an argument for it because Virginia is an ACC team. They're playing teams from other conferences that have not seen them. So that gives them a decided advantage because I can watch tape on you all I want. But if I've never seen you before, it's my system versus your system. Do you think that she has a point?
I do. I actually think I've thought about this. I didn't make an initial reaction because I wanted to think about it. I'm gonna tell you why she has a point by speaking to some of the points that other people are making. Just play better. Just get a higher seed. Just do X, Y, and Z. I think that conversation is minimizing the lack of parity still in the NCAA when some of the best players are still concentrated amongst 2 to 3 teams, right? 2 to 3 teams. Yes, we've had some programs that have come and gone and are at a rise right now. When you're talking about getting into the WNBA, Gino still has the most pull from player 1, even down to player 6 and 7. And so when you're on the fringe, when you're talking about building a really good basketball program, the nation's top talent is at UConn. Full stop. Let's start there. Now, if I'm Syracuse, right, and yeah, I can play better regardless, even at Syracuse's seed, to your point, they have a right one, not to always see the same person in the first and second round of the tournament. Two, not to have to go to UConn's home to do so. The NCAA on the women's side still requires or is still allowing the top seeds to host at home. So if Syracuse is required to go to UConn at home, no one debated that they're the best team in the country. No one debated the fact that Gino still has the talent and still probably has some of the biggest pool to get his kids in the W. So to make a program that's trying to build, that's trying to get better, go to UConn to play the best team at home, I would be irritated by that. Some people say they would have got dog walked by UCLA. Well, I think she's saying I'd rather be dog walked by UCLA. I am tired of seeing the same team every single year. If I'm going to get dog walked by UCLA and their sharpshooters and they W prime team, I'm going to do that. I'd rather do that. Can we get a change of scenery? I don't think that's that bad. They're already both in the East Coast. They're already going to see each other. They're very familiar. I think the tournament, like you said, is very big on the switch up, catching people slipping. Virginia caught so many people slipping. Ole Miss, honestly, until that dog whistle about the Bear Mall, Ole Miss was about to catch people slipping because people weren't familiar with their play. And so I think when you're just off the fringe, you're like, dang, you're complaining because you got dog walked by UConn. I think her complaint is just years of frustration about just the lack of scenery and the lack of ability to try it with another team. So
I agree. I agree with that sentiment. And it's also because they make sure that the higher seeds don't see each other.
Right.
If you're a higher seed, LSU and South Carolina see each other during the year, but they're not going to see each other unless they both make it to the championship. They made sure that those teams don't see each other early because it makes for good basketball.
Right.
I am interested in good basketball. I have not watched intensely every single team on here, clearly, because we're at the behest of the games that are available to us, right? So the games that are going to be available to us are going to be the Big Ten games. You're going to see ACC. You're going to see SEC. You'll those. That's what maybe you might get a Big East in there. We don't know the rest of these teams. I was unfamiliar with Virginia because I can't tell you how many games that were on television that were against Virginia for these games. The same, I would say, for Syracuse. I think I might have seen one game with them playing. So it, to me, makes better basketball when you can have these teams playing different folks and mixing the brackets up. They do that for the men's game really, really well, to me.
Yeah, and the SEC, I think they, just like NC State had to see Tennessee early. That happens in the SEC because there's just way too many teams in the SEC that make the tournament. Same thing with the Big Ten. They have a lot of people in tournament. But the ACC has less, and of course the Big East has less. And especially when the ACC and the Big East, they play each other a lot. They may see each other a lot. I definitely feel like Syracuse, just because they're close to UConn, does not mean that they need to play them. And I think that's what she was trying to say. Hey, I know we're down the street, but we don't mind traveling.
Yeah,
we don't mind put us on the bus. I know y'all trying to do us a favor. Don't do us no more favors. I think that's what she's trying to say. I know y'all trying to save my girls a little ride. No, we want to go on a trip too. Send us to Cali. We'll go holler at UCLA.
And I think that it's better for development anyway. Yeah. It's better for development. And
it's down to the Gamecocks. Let us get dog walked by Dawn if we're gonna get dog walked. I don't want to see Gino no more. That's what she's saying. I don't want to see Gino and them no more. I know Gino, I feel you. Because if you come up against UConn, you're going home right now. You're going home.
Yeah. And that I feel so bad for 8-9 seeds. I feel so bad for 8-9 seeds. Because automatically that 8-9, that second round it's rough. That second round is rough.
I like what I saw from Syracuse, and I definitely feel like the ACC is wide open to me. I hope they use this year as motivation. If Duke was able to come back and win the ACC, I don't see why Syracuse can't put in some work and get to be a better seed. And so they definitely don't have to see UConn again, but or see UConn that early. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from Syracuse.
I agree, and this is the other part of it. The tournament is how you recruit.
Yeah.
If I'm getting dog walked by UConn, it's very difficult to convince some top talent
to come.
Especially Virginia gonna have, going back to Virginia gonna have a great recruiting class next year.
And Virginia is a good sell. I think sometimes for Syracuse, it's still a bit regional. You're going to get a lot of people in the region, and of course, you're gonna recruit out. But Virginia, not only are you getting a phenomenal education, the weather is not that bad, and with what they just did in the tournament, why not? And I think she just, nobody wants to, because I think it's also a mental thing for the kids. When you go in against UConn, I hope they didn't feel defeated, but I think a lot of times, like, you feel defeated, maybe. I don't know. I can't speak to them. And I don't think they necessarily played to the best of their ability. I think they could have played better. We saw them play better before.
I 100% believe they didn't, because they put 12 points up in the first half.
Yeah,
that's not a Syracuse team. 12 points in the first half. I honestly think that is I think that's a part of it. So absolutely. I was actually kind of disappointed in Tennessee. Like, when we had our conversation last week, we knew that team is, I don't know what's going on. Like, Pat Summitt, I know for a fact, is rolling around a grave with that team. But to not start your star player over some type of...
No, she wasn't there.
Where was she?
She was out. She was sick. So here's the thing. The women's cut was down in Michigan, right? Part of the women's cut were down there at Michigan and in Ann Arbor to actually see Michigan take on Holy Cross, and then Tennessee take on NC State. And as soon as touching down, immediately notified that Barker was out, right? She's out. And now there's a huge scramble trying to figure out why she was placed on the injury report, because she was at shoot-around. Allegedly, she was at shoot-around. Reports were stating that she was at shoot-around, and she was not anywhere to be found. This is her last year, her senior year. Potentially last game. It was her last game that she didn't play, and they said she was sick. And so with that, the team was already at an extreme disadvantage. NC State has a really tall player in the center, and I gotta say, Spencer worked her butt off. Okay, worked her butt off. There was the NC State players were really, Spencer, Spearman, both of them, they were really giving it their all. I do think, unfortunately, the game was lost due to a lot of momentum shifts. As soon as one kind of strong core was really getting the momentum of NC State, it was immediately lost by the substitutions and things like that. I definitely feel like Tennessee fought. I can't say they did not fight to try to win that game, but they just didn't have enough. And since that game, 2 Tennessee players have already hit the transfer portal. I don't know what's going to happen for everybody else.
They're gonna have to rebuild that team. They're gonna have to get them a nice, fresh new coach. I don't think that coach, I don't see her surviving, because the entire team is checked out. I just hate to see that program be down bad.
But you know what really concerned me? When she reflected on the season, she said she messed up, but not for the reason you would think. She said that she messed up and lost player buy-in because she kind of gave up on her system, meaning mid-season she allowed players to play longer in the game. She didn't do quick rotations, things like that. And I'm like, no, you sticking to the system is the problem, not you giving up on it. you did not have the same personnel to run the pressing in the system that kind of makes more sense with the 5 in, 5 out. And so, yes, you should have changed your system if your personnel is not matching that. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to switch out your system to match your personnel if you cannot get the people that you have to buy into that system. Especially when you have a very particular system. This is not like a Geno system or a Don system. No. This is a very particular system.
And I don't know if I'm a fan of the hockey subs. We saw a lot of that in USA basketball, and you understand that because there's younger players and you're trying to find where people fit. Most people do the hockey sub situation early in their season so that they can figure out matchups, lineups, who plays well with each other, who can carry if somebody is in foul trouble. That's what you do that for. To try to maintain that through your entire season. Come on.
Difficult. Or I can see you doing the hockey subs when you find a team that like pressing and momentum is what's really going to change the game. Mm-hmm. And you can do it there. But I think the flaw part in her system is that she's doing the hockey sub no matter what. And the fact that she thinks that, shying away from it is the reason why they lost buy-in. I just don't buy that. So I don't know what they're going to do with Kim. I personally feel like if she wants to take this system, she needs to take it out of Tennessee.
I think that I think that's a mid-major system. That's it's a very try-hard system for teams that are in the MVC who have players who they might not have the talent, but they have 1,000% effort. That's the kind of system that you run there.
Right.
You cannot be in the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, and run that system successfully because of how talented the other team is.
Right. That you're team not even successfully. You're not even. What I saw there. What I saw on the game is she didn't successfully press NC State once. They were breaking the press every time. And so to me, if you're not using the 5 in, 5 out system to either catch people off guard or to be able to have enough energy and legs to press successfully, I don't see the reason for it. I mean, I don't. And I think sticking into a 5 in, 5 out system where you're not pressing successfully and you're not trying to catch a team off guard, all you're doing is affecting momentum.
Yeah.
And that's all I saw. And
I agree, especially if you have shooters. Your shooters got to get in rhythm. They got to get in rhythm. And then as soon as they get in rhythm, you're taking them out. It don't make any sense.
Yeah, and that wasn't happening. Yeah, that's what I got there. Best of luck to Tennessee.
I'd like to wrap on some good news from one of our previous leading ladies getting a shot. Seaway, can you break that down for me?
Yeah, as you guys know or may not know, I previously covered the Aces last year. The Women's Cut is covering the Aces this year, and the Aces have some really amazing news. One of our favorites, Nola Henry of the Dallas Wings, assistant coach of the Dallas Wings, and head coach of the Roses and Unrivaled, has got a new gig, and she is heading over to work under the Becky Hammond and be an assistant coach for the Las Vegas Aces. So I just listed some of her pedigree. She got her start coaching as a graduate assistant at Dickerson University in 2018 to 2019, and then at the University of Hartford from 2019 to 2020. She's also played. She's loved by all. I see so many people congratulating her. I didn't know, she was going to stay with the Wings or where she was going to go, but to go coach under the Becky Hammond is such a blessing. I'm glad that they see what she's able to bring to the table. And I'm happy. And also, she's coached Chelsea, right? And so she's very familiar. This is already going to be super familiar. She's coached Chelsea. The Unrivaled girlies are familiar with her.
And she's only 31. She's only 31.
Yeah, she's look, and she's done so much. And so
I love it. Perfect. I love it. I like Becky's coaching development. I think she's a very, very good at developing coaches. So that will definitely set Nola up so that when there is a nice vacancy, you know what I'm saying, we could see
Right.
baby girl take the reign.
And I think, to me, the best year I've ever seen Becky coach is last year. Being in there and talking to Becky through the hard times, and then being able to check back in with her through the you know, the time where they kind of got over the hump. Her ability to coach the Aces out of that spot really shows how goated she is. I mean, of course she had talent, but you know, talent is not enough in this league anymore. And
no,
so
she had to make them players work for it. Like they had to get. Now she's blessed with a great leader like Asia, but
Asia can't do it alone. Nobody can do it alone in the W.
Right. She coached her ass off last season. Absolutely.
She did. So I'm excited for Nola to be able to pick whatever she can pick from Becky. Whatever she can get from Becky is a blessing. I'm happy for Nola. Congratulations to you, Nola Henry. Well, look, we talked about a lot today. Coaches, the Tennessee program, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But look, don't be mad at us about anything that we said, because it's all in good fun. Just be mad that you made the cut. Bye.
Bye.
It's so big, you can't even see my face. Ballin' on the court, make 'em chase. Buzzer beater, shot clock, first place.
Been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.